I'm Joey.
I'm Jeremy.
And this is Dead South Paranormal. So, Jeremy, we've made it to episode 5 finally.
Episode 5. We got a full handful.
A full handful. And so how we're kind of, or this is falling out, is that we're going to be able to release an investigation monthly.
Correct.
We'll be releasing a weekly podcast.
Correct.
And I will want to say that our first investigation, when we recorded it and did all that, I think just being naive and all of that, it ran pretty long.
Yeah.
And, and like cutting time, we still ended up at like an hour and 30 or something like that. And so I think moving forward, we're going to kind of do the investigations where one podcast will be my evidence and one podcast to be your evidence, whichever.
Yeah, I guess it would depend on how much evidence we actually take away from an investigation as well.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, folks, is that we don't know really how much evidence we do have in an investigation until we get back and review it. And this is the case with one of our most recent investigations where we came in, and we didn't feel like we found a lot, but
yeah,
it is what it is. But before we dive into that, Jeremy, where can they find us?
Well, you can find us on pretty much all social media platforms. We are on Facebook and Instagram at Dead South Paranormal. You can find us on YouTube at Dead South Paranormal SC. And as of right now, the last time I checked, I think other than Apple, because Apple likes to take a long time to get you up and running.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I think we're good on most platforms to listen to. So I would say take your pick. I think by the time this comes out, it'll probably be on Apple. So let me go ahead and correct myself in the future. So there you go. But yeah, all you got to do, pull up your favorite podcast listening platform, type in Dead South Paranormal, and you should find us.
Awesome. And we will be releasing content weekly. Usually it's going to be midnight on Monday night, so that's Monday morning for most people.
Yeah, I think,
but what I've found is that our host, it posts at midnight, but then it RSS's out. It does all kind of fancy things. So it could be, I'll almost bet by the time you wake up Monday morning, it'll be somewhere for you to find.
Yeah.
So,
if not, definitely by Monday afternoon.
Yeah, definitely.
So for that long drive into work, or maybe at your workplace you're allowed to listen to such stuff, then go ahead, feel free.
Shenanigans.
Yes.
So we investigated a building that is a pretty modernized building. It's a metal frame construction. It was built, I would say, probably late 90s, early 2000s, if best I can remember.
Okay.
And it's an active vocational type school now.
Right.
Where they teach EMTs and paramedics and things like that. Before that, it was a medical billing office. And I was really, I don't want to say disheartened, but what we left with, or what I thought we left with, as you will see, Jeremy, we didn't have a whole lot of findings to even discuss on like the ride home or anything like that.
Yeah.
So again, as we do this, I've found that I have a pretty significant amount of evidence here. So we're going to do this in one podcast, and then Jeremy will present his later. Jeremy has not seen any of this.
None.
I've intentionally kept all of this information away from Jeremy.
Which tells me I'm in for something.
Now, to give you a background, the people that work there had or have been for a long time, Jeremy, really had a lot of things going on. We've had lights go on and off. We've had, or they've had, sounds, knocks, running down the hallway, books coming off the shelves. They have a closed circuit camera system, this infrared closed circuit camera system. And they have claimed that they have caught a orb with a purposeful type movement. It wasn't like something just shooting across the screen like you think of dust or a bug or something like that. I still haven't seen that video yet. I went over there the other day to get it. Nobody was there. But I actually teach in that school too, as part of my kind of side hustle, one of the many. And the thing is, and I would teach at night, so my class would last from like 6 o'clock in the evening to 10 o'clock at night. And during classes, I've had students get really uncomfortable. A group of 8, 10, 12 students, all hearing the same things and all can't explain it. And the disturbances, I'd call them, the door shutting sounds, things, people walking, running, was so bad for us. One night, one of the people that were in my class was also a police officer. And he, as I was calling one of my managers that I worked for there to make sure nobody was in the building, because he was clearing it like he would for a burglary or something like that. So it was, and this is a dude that he's not like a scary dude. I don't think he probably ever believed in anything like this until he kind of experienced it. Yeah. So I've had experiences there. Well, as we got down to it, and just to give you the whole backstory, probably 50 to 75 yards away from the building, if you're looking at the front of the building to the left of the building, probably 50 yards, there is a grave site from the mid-1800s.
Yeah, some very old graves.
Very old.
In very odd positions.
Yes. And that's going to tie into what I've found, surprisingly or unsurprisingly, depending on how surprised you are. But several old graves, 1840s to about 1870, something like that. All of them were fairly normal. It seems to me, because of the sinks in front, sunken spots in the earth in front of most of the grave markers, that those are original graves. And from what I've been able to investigate afterwards, that would be the case. There was no movement of anything as anything was being built there.
Wow.
I know who built it. The building?
Yeah.
So I called them, and they said, no, it was a clean spot. And yes, that was there when they started over there on that side. So
knowing what I know and what you know, and okay. Ooh.
So that got things a little bit deeper. And so what I'm going to go ahead and tell you, there was 8, 9 grave markers out there.
Yeah.
Headstones.
Yeah.
And at the front of the YouTube video, I'm going to put in all of the pictures we have of all of that.
All right, cool.
So you could visit our YouTube channel and see those. All but one of them were facing east. There was one facing west. One. The name on it was Elizabeth.
Yes.
Which coincidentally, we know an Elizabeth too. But one was facing west.
Yeah.
And one of the first things when I saw it, when I went out there the day before to kind of scout it a little bit, one of the first things that Jeremy mentioned when we got there was, this grave is pointed the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And there are reasons that people do that.
Or so I've been told.
Well, I did a little more research into that, and that is true.
That is 100% true.
That when someone was either convicted of heresy by the church.
Correct.
Or witchcraft, which is also a form of heresy, that when they were executed and or died, and they could have even been accused of witchcraft posthumously as well, that they would often bury them to the west. So we have that. So one of the other graves was a female out there, and the name that was on it was Rachel. So the folks that currently work at the building was kind of calling the disturbance, the spirits, Rachel, as, kind of, they found it. It could be her, whatever, maybe some reverence, maybe kind of poking a little bit, but
Right.
that kind of was what it was. Well, so we went in there. A friend of ours joined us, Jen Jaggers. She is really interested in the paranormal, and she called me later on, and she had a blast and loved it. And
Good deal.
good. And, of course, then we had our crew going in. And so we went in pretty beforehand. Yeah, there's probably something going on. We went and did kind of the walkthrough of the grave site, and then we was like, man, this is really, and at the time we thought it they've been, the graves have been moved. But it's just really not.
That was my initial thinking, because I know going in, we weren't 100% sure on that as of yet. So when I said what I said to Joey that night, I said, I've always been told that if a grave is facing west, that person was a witch or accused of witchcraft. No offense to any modern day witches, by the way. But on the same hand, it kind of, you'll see as we unveil our evidence, mine included, which will show up next episode, the amount of cohesiveness between that fact and things that were brought to light through our investigation. That's about all I'm going to say on my end.
Yeah. So, that's the thing, is that there was a level of cohesiveness that is undeniable, that I can't write it immediately off as circumstantial.
Exactly.
So kind of to get right into it, in the middle of the screen, as you can see, if you are watching us on YouTube, there is a video. It's right there. If I stick my finger up, it disappears. But and actually, one of the picture that is behind Jeremy is a picture of one of the actual gravestones that were out there. So it's really cool. As you can see, it's very worn and weathered, and all. But
the tombstone, not me.
Yeah, well, that's also subjective.
Debatable.
Yes. So one of the biggest things I caught Jeremy throughout was cohesive ovulous responses, and responses that varied. So this is what I kind of see when I kind of took the 10,000 foot view of this thing. So this building is divided up into several offices. And so for the sake of simplicity, we investigated separately. I started in the back half of the building. Jeremy started in the front half. And then we switched. So I was in the back half of the building where the administrative offices were.
Right.
So, and Jeremy was in the front, which is mostly classrooms and
correct
and things like that. And we also had a camera in kind of a commons cafeteria area that just was running.
Yeah.
And we just let it run.
Yeah. It's kind of a static cam, just kind of just picking up whatever we could catch, basically.
We were hoping to catch a ghostie running across the floor, to be honest. That's what it was.
That's what it was.
But there was stuff on the tables and stuff like that. Man, I looked at that thing to look to see if something moved 1,000 times. But it caught something.
Really?
Yeah. It was a noise, but I can't explain.
It's something.
Yeah. But I got a lot of responses through the Ovilus that were either very directly pointed at the staff members there, or were direct answers to questions.
Yes.
And that was, despite all of our other investigations, I found this to be the most intelligent conversations that I had. So to get right into it, the first part of this So Jen, who was with me that night, along with Sydney, we were in the executive director's office at this point, and we had just started. This was probably, I think on the video, it was 2.5 minutes into the investigation, just to the point that we'd kind of got settled down, kind of talked about a game plan type thing, and just kind of letting everything relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. In October, Jen had a baby.
Mm-hmm.
So, and one of the last times she was in this building was when she was pregnant. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Jen was pregnant. She was really, really pregnant. So this is what we caught there. Are you the one that makes all the noises? Do you try to...
Pregnant.
That's a pretty direct response.
Yeah. So we continued.
Now, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's Sydney, because I know she is in there, even though she's not on camera. Did you hear like a yes?
No. I think that was Sydney.
It may have been. That's why I say it's kind of hard to decipher, especially when someone's not on screen, on where the sound is coming from.
So just to remind everybody, everything we do, we're recording it via camera.
Correct.
But we're also audio recording.
Mm-hmm.
All of this is camera recording. Mm-hmm. And what I will do, I will play across, when I find something, I'll mark it, and I'll go to the audio recording, and then I can use one of several different means to amplify it.
Right.
And I try to do that to make sure, so when I hear something weird, and most of the time it's either me or Sydney or somebody that kicked something or something like that. So I did do that, and I don't remember anything there, but just the fact that Jen was there, and the word pregnant came out, was really important.
Almost as if it's acknowledging that fact.
Yes. So we're kind of just running through right now some different things. So I'm going to just play a couple, probably a 30 seconds here, and just let y'all hear what we responded to. Do you feel connected to the people that work here?
Elsewhere.
The thing is, with these spirit talker apps, unless there's some context, it's really, these obvious things like that, it's really hard to follow a path.
Yeah.
You're connected elsewhere.
We can talk.
I would like that very much. You can tell definitely that something's wanting to do something. But as it moves on, we continue to get responses.
Follow us right.
When you say us, how many are there here? Is there more than one spirit here? Are you getting any email?
It stayed on 0.0.
I really like the infrared, turned out really good in this.
Yeah,
Touch that thing. That thing will blow up if you touch it.
Yeah. You see that mail meter over there, that thing with the red light on it? If you get close to it, you can make the numbers go up on that.
She killed us.
Who killed you?
Where do you want us to go? Do you want to go to Devin's office?
You've got to go.
That's a pretty direct answer.
Let's go. Thank you for answering. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
You
what
want
we
us
want.
to go to another office?
That was pretty interesting.
Yeah. So that's kind of where it continued in there. So that was that first office. We didn't get any. I didn't get any other EVPs or anything like that in that office, but it definitely wanted us to move.
Yeah.
When it said right, you got to move right,
Right.
or whatever it said there.
Yeah. Follow us right.
Follow us right. Yes. To the right was Devin's office.
Really?
Which is the EMT program coordinator.
Right.
And so we went ahead and kind of wrapped things up. We were in there for a little while longer, but kind of wrapped things up. And then we moved on into Devin's office, kind of the same setup. I sat behind the desk. Sydney and Jen sat in front of the desk. They had the camera kind of pointed towards me. And behind me was a corner. There, of course, there's 4 corners in every room, dummy. But but in that corner was a Christmas tree.
Yes.
And Devin had reported that Christmas tree's lights had come on and went off several times. Now, it's a Christmas tree. So we know how Christmas tree lights can be and all of that. But it was permanently plugged in and it had like a roller switch. So she would cut it off and she would come back and it would be on. She would cut it on and she would come back and it would be off, and she would have to manipulate the switch to move it. So that kind of was a little interesting there. So when we were doing that. But we got a couple of responses, but they were kind of just really out of context. It was like, I had gotten a little more aggressive with my questioning, kind of wanting to pick a little bit to see if I could get some stuff moving in that. And at one point, I think they kind of called my bluff on it and said I was kind of being a turd. But there's some personal things that Devin has went through in this last year that we're not going to discuss. But the overall feeling in this room was melancholy.
Yeah.
If I had to describe a feeling, I felt melancholy.
Somber.
Yeah. And Sydney, who I think is way more sensitive than I am, really was, I don't want to say uncomfortable.
She was picking up on something.
Yeah, there was this thing that was bothering her.
Yeah.
So we moved on into Devin's office and set up. And so we kind of was able to pick up on a few more things here. And you'll see the camera kind of cut in and out because, folks, in these investigations, sometimes there are long periods of silence and nothing. So, and that's not.
Yeah, it's not uncommon.
Yeah. So I did just cut some stuff up a little bit for the sake of time in the video and all. Or do you come and go? Do you leave the building and go back to the graveyard? Did you hear that bump?
I did.
It's pretty profound bump too.
Yeah. Does having people in here excite you?
It ran for the 20 minutes, but it started recording on
So
its own.
much heartache.
So you heard Jen right there. Yeah, so
You
much
have 2 SD cards in there?
kind of respond to so much heartache, and Jen went, Part of Devin's story involves a lot of stuff going on personally,
Right.
and to put it bluntly, she's been through the ringer,
Yeah.
and that's the feeling that we were getting in the room.
Yeah, which is odd itself.
So I have a feeling that there was whatever's there is without question feeding off of that and trying to, or at least is aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that theme throughout the investigations in Devin's office, and then we moved into Megan's office, that theme continued on that side of the building for us. So
maybe whatever it is in there is empathizing off of what she's going through.
and I believe that. So we're going to move it on along. Do you feel the heartache of others?
Seed.
Is it the seat that I'm in right now? Is it where I'm sitting right now? So I heard seat,
Yeah.
but I go back and I've listened to it and almost maybe even hear seed. I can't really make my mind up on what it is. Now, the seat I was in, Gypsy's found something. My dog is a mess, y'all. The seat I was sitting in is the seat where that's Devin's seat.
Right.
So we've got that.
Right.
So there's this sense of empathy in there that kind of really has been playing on me.
And I can definitely see the correlation.
Whose office this is?
15.4.
Shall I make noise?
Yes, you shall.
Absolutely.
23.7.
The millimeter is going to.
23.7. That's the highest it's bounced since we've been in here.
Okay. Make a noise for us. Bump something. Knock something off a desk.
I'm a little sad.
What makes you sad? What makes this?
No, go away.
We're not ready to go away yet. What makes this interesting is that we get the spikes on the millimeter, which reads electromagnetic frequency, and then we get more activity
Yep.
in the ovilus.
Longer sentences.
Longer sentence, yeah, more cohesiveness in it. And there definitely is
It's kind of a story.
almost like a story, but it seems to tie into some of the stuff that we know as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where?
A woman's face in that corner over there. I keep thinking I see one.
We'll keep the camera over there.
It is. It's focused on this corner.
Okay.
I want to know if you're sad. Shall I write that down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to know if you're sad or if this office is sad. And if it's you, I'm sorry.
What can we do to help you?
Harry.
Harry. It's the first name we've gotten tonight.
Yeah. 7.2.
So the word Harry popped up. So that's a dude, right?
Right.
Well, what kind of got me in that is that there was really no correlation to a Harry. I know a dude that has been in there teaching every now and then. His name was Harry, but not really. One of the names on one of the tombstones, however, was a female, Harriet. So I thought that was just enough to say, hey, there is some kind of correlation there that, you know, I don't remember a male name in there of Harry on anything in there. But I did get Harry twice. So I also got it again in the front classroom.
Okay.
So, and that's the reason I left that in there.
One thing I will say is that when I heard the audible taps, but also in Sydney's response, she sounds more shook up than anything when she asked the question or when she went to talk about the lady's face that she claimed to see in the corner. She seems like whatever feeling that this entity is experiencing, that it almost kind of transferred to her, and you could hear it in almost like a little quiver or shakiness in her voice almost. That was pretty interesting in my opinion. That was crazy.
So, she was and understand this room is the one room in the building that is completely isolated from outside light.
Okay, yeah.
So there is no external light source coming into this building whatsoever. So when you cut the lights off,
it's pitch black.
The only thing that's in there is the light you bring in there to it.
Right.
So, and we had it other than the infrared on the cameras. That was the only light, which we can't see with our eyes. We can only see it with the camera, in the room at the time. So when I talked with her later about it, she described it not necessarily like visually seeing something, but feeling that she was visually seeing something.
That's interesting.
You know, like, and so I don't quite know.
Yeah.
Where that leads.
Well, I'll put it this way: from what I've heard about a medium, that's kind of the sensation that they get is like instead of actually seeing things, that they get feelings, which kind of they interpret as into what is around them.
Harry. That's just what we backed up on. I backed it up a little bit.
Gotcha.
7.2.
I feel like you really want to tell us what makes you sad. And you don't quite know how because no one's really ever talked to you before.
I'm attached.
What are you attached to? If you notice there, Jeremy, is Harriet Rachel, and Rachel is the what name has you attached
right
to this place? Because it sounds like to me you can't move on, that you're stuck here. Is that what you want? You want to move on?
Or are you attached to being around the people in this building? They can be fun people.
Face.
Face. Show us your face. Remember, this isn't very long after Sydney said she saw a face.
That corner over there, it just gives me vibes. Like, I swear, I keep seeing something moving in that corner.
It does have a lot of shadows.
Gonna leave it running, y'all. I got to go get something to drink or something.
How long is this thing's battery supposed to last?
What battery?
The infrared.
Oh, wow.
It's that the blue thing is the battery thing, right?
Yeah.
It's that one.
We'll watch it.
That thing was fully charged. I hate that corner because I keep seeing. Thank you for that because I kept. That right there. These jackets were. That felt weird. Yeah, I felt like something was touching me back. But no, those jackets were bothering me. Like, hold your hand out. I kind of felt like this.
Oh.
But no, those jackets were bothering me because it kept looking like something was there.
So even Sid kind of put it could have been the jackets thing
Right.
together. But when she put her hand up, you saw like there was a legit like.
Yeah, it's like she jerked back from something there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just strange. And I'm out of the room. I'm outside with y'all now at this point.
Right.
And because I was having the can't help it.
Did you just touch her?
Mirror's reflection.
I do believe there's a mirror on the back of her door.
Yeah, there's a reflection right there. Are you in the reflection? Ooh, was that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. I think. That's me though.
Yeah.
Jen said she needed a hamburger at that point.
My wife works here. Do you know what her name is?
I'm gonna be him for a minute.
My little boy comes here
Yeah, there's a mirror on the door.
every week. He's got a very unusual name. Can you tell me what his name is?
Now, did they not hear that?
They didn't respond to it.
That's why I was wondering if they heard it.
Neither. So
Or they just assumed that it was the
Tell
other
me
one.
about you. What
That
kind
it
of
was the other
person
one
were
making
you?
the
Investigate.
So I want to go back.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go back to about right there.
Clear as day.
Clear as a bell. We were still outside at that point.
Yeah, we were out front.
Yeah. You and myself and Amanda and Reed.
Yep.
We were outside the building.
Yeah, completely outside the building.
So they didn't respond to that. And Jen's a firefighter paramedic by trade. And, she is, I would think acutely aware of her,
Right.
She would be acutely aware of her surroundings.
Well, I mean,
And even Sydney, being a little younger, being a little bit skittish a little bit, but she's pretty tough. But yeah, that was probably one of the crazier just responses there. And then it goes on to say investigation.
yeah, I heard that right there at the tail end.
So yeah, if we move,
it was like, hey, why aren't you investigating?
yeah, investigate. But yeah, I'll go back to that part.
Yeah.
Tell me about you. What kind of person were you?
Investigate.
Yeah, we're investigating.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out who you are.
And what happened? Did the mouse spike?
49,
Mm-mm.
10.6, 2.6. Describe yourself.
And of course, you can hear like the HVAC system.
Yeah, ambient sounds.
Jen's stomach.
I was somebody get this lady a
What
hamburger.
year was it that you were alive last?
Interesting question, by the way.
I visit.
Come on and visit.
We want you to visit.
We want to get to know you. Devin, Courtney, and Megan hear you all the time. I haven't been able to hear you.
And we want to hear you now.
You felt me.
I did feel you in the corner. Did you give me a high five? Ew, I didn't like.
So I came back in the room with them, and we talked about what had transpired while I was gone.
Right.
And they talked to me about, they mentioned about the mirror thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually set a camera up on the mirror for a little while and talked, and literally when we did that, the room went dead.
Interesting how it does that.
Yeah. So we moved on to the paramedic program coordinator's office across the hallway.
Correct.
And her name's Megan.
Mm-hmm.
And she's Jen's wife. And I apologize. I got a frog in my throat. We immediately started getting responses.
Interesting.
So this is kind of what we got. We're just going to do the audio on this part because the video was giving us so much trouble on the backside.
Technical difficulties.
Yes. All right, we've moved on to Megan's office.
Stomach problems.
So
It's making fun
that's
of
just
you.
what I said. Go back.
Lungs.
I'm going to go back one more time. Megan's office.
Stomach problems.
Are you serious?
It's making fun
That's
of
just
you.
what I said.
Are you talking about Megan?
Doesn't she have like
Yes.
like bad like GI and GU stuff?
Yeah.
Well, ain't that ironic?
So Megan has like PCOS and all
Right.
this other kind of stuff, and as well, Jen's stomach's been growling all night because she's hungry. But we just found it interesting that we were in Megan's office,
Right.
and that is something that Megan has to deal with very, very regularly.
Something's watching.
Something is definitely paying attention.
That ironic.
Are you
Battle here.
out here?
Battle here.
Oh,
Say
that.
that again.
Battle here.
Battle here. Okay.
Yeah, that's what showed up on the ovulus. And then we moved forward, and we got some more just generalized responses out of it. Did you cause that? You hear that?
That click.
Yeah.
Yes.
So-
Sounds like a blade being pulled, like you pull a pocket knife.
Did you cause that? Click.
Yeah.
So they were sitting in, all the chairs in there are leather, so you hear the creaking and the cracking, okay? That was something that I didn't hear it. I can't believe it said stomach problems as I mentioned Megan.
Yeah. I mean, responses of
Mandy.
Mandy,
Mother.
which is also a term I use for my wife, Mandy, sometimes.
Right.
Her granddaddy used to call her Mandy. But I asked, did it mean Megan?
Did you mean Megan?
So we moved on, and I did I cut on the SB7 spirit box. And because I hadn't done any spirit box sessions this whole time, and I thought it was just felt like the right time to do it.
Another device here that I would like to try to use. It's called a spirit box. Can you tell us your name?
Sebastian.
One response was the spirit box.
Yep.
One response was the Ovilus. I'm going to cut this back up, the volume back up on this a little bit.
And this is for the spirit box.
For the spirit box, and they come almost simultaneously,
Right.
so one's right after the other. I'm going to cut this up just a little bit, and you tell me what you hear on the spirit box.
Okay.
Can you tell us your name?
Megan.
Okay. Yep. That's exactly what I heard. That's exactly what Amanda heard when I had her listen to
Right.
it. And I carried this to Megan and showed her this past week to get her, this little section,
Right.
to get her interpretation. She goes, that's my name.
Yeah.
First time she heard it.
That's interesting. Now, what was it that the spirit box? I mean,
Sebastian.
that's what I thought it said.
Mm-hmm. So the spirit box said Sebastian.
Huh, interesting.
So
And ironically enough, it sounded like a man singing it.
yeah, the man's voice seemed to be Megan.
Yeah, when it said Megan.
Yep.
We know what you've been up to in this building.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I said nothing.
Nothing? Well, the people that work here say different.
Why does the bird fly into this window?
So I cut the spirit box off right then.
Right.
Be quiet and listen.
So they have a bird
Yeah.
that routinely flies into that window in Megan's office as a mockingbird, from what they described to me. Which I know that mockingbirds can be a
Yeah.
little aggressive and
Right.
stuff like that, but yeah, it's pretty consistent with that.
That's ironic.
But be quiet and listen was kind of.
She will touch you.
She did.
So Sydney felt like she was touched.
Right.
You touched me,
Yep.
and she will touch you.
That's right.
So to me, that is at least two spirits.
Correct. That sounds like one spirit talking about another spirit.
Correct.
Yes.
But there's so much correlation there that I
Yeah.
can't deny that.
Touched me. She gave me like a high five.
Touch one of us in here now.
Air conditioner was right outside the back door,
I'm in the trees.
which is where the graveyard is.
Yeah.
Your graves are in the trees
That's
now.
my fingers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'll do that sometimes and forget that I shouldn't.
Is that where your body is? Over in those trees? In the woods?
Here?
Yeah, come here. We want you in here with us.
Hey, the video's doing a lot better now. So
That was a weird.
Touch one of us. Knock something off a shelf. Make a knock. Make any noise.
So this is when we stopped. After that, we all kind of gathered together and
Right.
we swapped
Yeah.
swap spots. That whole side of the building was very to me, was cohesively active,
Right.
but very benevolent.
Yes.
Like they were like these. It almost sounded like these spirits cared.
Yeah.
So you had the stuff where you had obviously Megan stuff. You had Devon stuff, and they knew things about them.
Yeah.
So I was really not too destroyed about what I found on that side of the building.
No,
to be
I
honest.
wouldn't be.
So we moved on and we moved into the main classroom.
Which is where we started at.
So we were in there for about 5 or 10 minutes. And this is a gigantic classroom.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty big.
we really haven't said anything. We're kind of moving around, setting stuff up and kind of getting settled in. And I'm just going to let you listen.
1.2, 4.5.
Really?
So Sydney's calling out EMF.
Right.
Sydney, stand up and walk away from that table.
Sorry.
What the hell was that?
So Sydney was getting readings on the mail
Yeah.
and just, bouncing.
Yeah.
Like the low end, what I call low end normal kind of thing, especially if you've got like a lot of electronics around. This room does have electronics in it. So I just wanted her to move
Right.
to see if things would change. So I'm going to play that back and I want you to hear afterwards. This is one solid clip now. There's no modification to this.
Okay.
Sydney, stand up and walk away from that table.
Sorry.
It's not like trying.
It's there. See it? It'll pop in and out there.
So at the same time, I'm running the SLS.
That's what I was about to ask. I was like, that's what it sounds like. And something keeps popping in and off the screen.
In and off. Just so I'm sitting kind of towards the back of the room, about 3/4 the way to the back,
Okay.
facing towards the desk at the front of the room, just
Right.
like you would be at one of the students.
Right.
That window is to my left. There's
Yes.
that window
Right.
that goes to that trauma room,
Right.
the dummy room, is to my left. So that kind of gives you the picture.
Okay.
The desk along that left-hand wall, along the left-hand side, my left-hand side, Sydney had initially put a camera there facing back. That was and she had laid her coat down. And her camera was going down, so she had it plugged into the wall. So that's the setup right there initially.
Right.
So I'm running SLS, and I'm getting full figure SLS picture. And again, on the YouTube video, I'll link. I'll cut this in so y'all can see full picture SLS, but it's popping in and out. So I had Sydney go over there and remove everything from those tables to just bare top wood top tables.
Right.
Nothing there that was humanoid, human-esque
Right.
for that SLS to pick up on, because it will pick up on stuff like that.
That's pretty interesting. And I don't know, it almost sounds like a cry in pain almost. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm in pain. But it definitely sounds like a woman's voice.
It's there.
Let's hear that one more time.
So, but Sydney and I are talking about the SLS picture.
Right.
And Jen's sitting to my right, a little bit forward of me. None of us heard it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Sorry.
And it's just as loud as day.
It's there.
So yeah, it was crazy.
That was interesting. Because this isn't the sound of a door slamming. This isn't the sound of footsteps. This isn't the sound of someone singing off in the distance. This is someone
In the room.
In the room. That's where I was going with this. This is in the room. This is close enough to be picked up by, of course, the equipment, because otherwise, even though it's not audible, it came through the equipment. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So whatever frequency they run on now is been interpreted into your camera and equipment and out to our ears now, and that spooks me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
So Cindy and I we're working with that corner right there, that side of the wall right there,
which is really weird because the entire time we were in there, we were on the exact opposite corner.
Okay.
We stayed there the whole time.
Yeah.
Which is odd because I wanted to be facing that window.
Yeah.
So
ironically
enough.
So we keep going through here, and
That is where the orb kept going into, that corner.
Yes.
so Jen has saw the orb video.
Right.
And the way she described it to me, the orb materialized.
Right.
Whatever.
Manifested.
Yeah, whatever they did. And it didn't just do a straight line like a piece of dust or something like that. It like curved around the room and up and down, but it was in that same area on my left, which was been that little hallway and stuff on the outside going to the dummy room, where I was getting the SLS as well. So
interesting.
That is where the orb kept going into, that corner.
Yes, over here.
No.
yes, over here.
Wow, like it was reacting to what she said.
Yeah. And then a few minutes later, we get.
I heard it sounded like something bump.
Yeah. So you hear us.
Yeah.
That sounded like it came from outside the room.
Really?
Like it didn't sound like it was in that room because there was a lot of reverb in that building.
Yeah, yeah.
That sounded like almost like a pipe or something, kind of thing.
Yeah, almost. I'm not trying to debunk what you have here, but I do have some audio on mine that sounds like one of the tables, because if you pay attention, some of the smaller tables have wheels on them, and when pushed hard enough, they kind of sound like they're very heavy. They sound very heavy.
That actually, now that you say that, that kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, because I remember Reed was in there with us, and I know he had his feet on one and was kind of moving things around, and I kind of picked that up during some of my stuff, and I was like, okay, I wanted to make sure I could tell the difference between the two, but because it's funny you mentioned that, because I've caught a clip and I wasn't 100% sure. I chalked it up to Reed, but it does sound something. Now mine, because we're on the opposite side, I will say this. Yours, to me, that sound there sounds like it's closer to y'all instead of out in the hallway. But on my video, because my camera's over in the opposite corner from where you guys are at, mine sounds like it's actually in your corner.
Really?
It sounds like somebody just like they took the table and just went.
Well, we had it dark enough in there where we really couldn't see anything. So I'm not saying we didn't bump it.
Right.
But I've been in that room, and I know that now that you mention it, I remember that sound of that table moving.
Yeah, it does sound a lot like that table.
So whether we moved it or somebody else moved it, I can't say for certain.
Right.
So,
and see, that's the kind of problem I have with mine.
Yep. So at this point, I was catching SLS on camera.
Okay.
Why is it so loud? And it was a significant capture, full-bodied, laying on that table over in that corner, arms, legs, and even to a point that its arm came up and like it did like the pose. Yeah.
Odd.
So,
So I got to ask about that table in the corner. Does that table have wheels on it?
I'll go back this week and find out. All of them do. They're all the exact same table.
Weird.
Oh, that's just a flat table. You know, that's...
Yeah, there's nothing on that table.
You can hear us kind of jumping through some stuff here.
Guillotine.
Guillotine.
Guillotine. Is that how you died? You like in the French Revolution, all that.
Not much guillotines around here.
So there's only one more audio out of this room that I want you to hear.
Okay.
And it's coming right up.
Let's stop playing. Move one of these desks.
These chairs are easy to move.
I was a witch.
Oh, shit.
Is that what?
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff there.
So when it said that, then, you know, I was like, well, we had talked about the witch stuff.
Yeah.
You had some stuff
I
that
did.
you had found that we'll tie together on the next
yeah,
episode.
we'll definitely do that. So,
But the other side to that is when I was listening to the audio and went back and I was a witch, that scream.
yeah.
I think what Joey's interpretation is.
Yeah.
On the backside, we have these almost coddling spirits.
Right.
In that front room where I've experienced a lot of stuff, there was more malevolence there.
Yeah. It doesn't, from what I've experienced, it doesn't seem to be harmful, but it is more of a trickster type entity, kind of mess with your head a little bit.
With the guillotine,
yeah.
And we know that the person that was buried westerly towards the west they died in Augusta, Georgia. I've tried to find some stuff about like, you know, witch executions in Augusta, Georgia, and there's nothing.
Yeah.
But that could have been anything. It could have been a persecution type thing. It could have been a heresy. You know?
Well, I mean, it could have been that maybe she was never, maybe she didn't, maybe she wasn't executed as a witch, but she was a known witch.
Correct. And, you know, a lot of people do. They don't get messed with because people don't want to mess with them. Overall, I can say that this was a really successful investigation.
I would have to agree.
Again, folks, it's one of those things where we go out to these places and we don't know what to expect. And then we leave, and sometimes we feel a little bit down because we hadn't had the best, you know, situation go on, or we don't think we caught anything. Then we go back and start reviewing the tapes.
Yeah.
And we realize that there's a lot more going on than expected. So I hope that this is going to help bring some understanding to these folks that work there, that what they've got there is not going to harm them, and in reality is probably watching over them.
Yeah.
So, but y'all, don't forget to check us out on our social media at Dead South Paranormal on Instagram and Facebook, and on YouTube, Dead South Paranormal SC. And then any questions, comments, you want us to come find out whether you got any boogies up in your place, we will definitely come. Go email us at deadsouthpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and if you guys are watching our videos on YouTube, which we hope you are, and if you are, thank you.
Yes.
With that being said, if you guys see anything that maybe you think we have missed in that footage, in that film, in our videos, please let us know. We'd sometimes, we're all human, and we may have overlooked something. So maybe you found something that maybe we didn't. So if you did, let us know.
Yeah. Or if you've got an explanation for something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you figured something out that we didn't put together.
100%. So at this, we're going to go ahead and call this episode to a close. We appreciate your watching. We look forward to hearing from you. Yep. And remember, Dead South Paranormal, man, we thank everything y'all do, and thank you for the support.
Absolutely.
We'll see you later.
All right. Y'all take care.